How are you?
I'm great. And you?
Doing good, thank you. You are a co-writer and director. I'm curious.
That's right.
Inspiration came as a co-writer.
I mean, the whole idea for the film started when we sort of realized how bad men are at feeling bad and how bad men are at talking about their emotions and dealing with their emotions. And we did a lot of research on that subject initially. Like, even though it's a comedy, we sort of approached it in a more serious way. So very, very early on, when we had sort of a first draft, we saw a psychiatrist with our screenplay. And he is a psychiatrist. He's been working with the male midlife crisis for 40 years. And we had it on his, what do you call that, on his couch. And he just started talking about the characters as if they were his patients. So that was really, really interesting and sort of an off approach to the whole comedy thing, and something that we just, we kept on focusing on the characters throughout the process instead of the jokes, I mean.
Yes, it was pretty hilarious. The cop saying there's more to life than just work.
Yeah.
In the middle investigating a huge scene, right?
Yeah.
Yes, about feelings. There was one thing that, what was it about Martin? He's pretty much running away from life, feeling overwhelmed, right? But we don't really,
yeah.
You're keeping us in suspense of what exactly is it?
Well, I think he's sort of the picture of how far a man's willing to go to not talk about his emotions and not talk about how he's feeling. I mean, there's sort of this thing where if men are feeling bad, they grab a beer and go into the woods or go fishing or go for a bike ride. And if they're dealing with the whole midlife crisis thing, they're just going to buy a new sports car, and that's sort of all they has to say about that. Whereas women are, at least in Denmark, way better at communicating and talking about their emotions, and it is very banal that is, what works. And that's also what got us to the whole fur part and the whole 10,000 BC part. Because when we talked to the psychiatrist, he's been researching this subject for almost his entire life. And it was really interesting, like, where does this come from? Is it something that we sort of inherited from our ancestors, or is it something that society has taught us? Because there is also a lot of it, I think, that has to do with the way that boys are brought up versus how girls are being brought up. Like, if a boy in kindergarten falls down and hurts his knee, it's so like, just man up, be a man about it, stop crying, dust yourself off. Whereas, at least where I come from, we are, if it's a little girl, they are sort of taught to talk about their emotions at a very early age and on a whole another level, and that benefits them, I think, tremendously throughout life. Whereas a lot of the men that were the inspiration for this film have no clue what to do and what to say and what to act on when life hits them.
Mm-hmm. Well, time to make some changes, and it's not just over there; it's here in the U.S. too, in Latin America. Yeah. I can say that.
Yeah.
Please tell me no animals were harmed.
No animals were harmed.
How was it like to shoot that scene when I didn't expect what was it? The moose? I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that's a moose. That's a moose.
And then just like kicks one of the characters, Musa, right?
Yeah.
What was it like filming that shot?
It was pretty intense. I mean, it is our first film on a bigger budget, and we wrote that scene. I was like, he hits a moose with his car, and I was like, how the hell are we going to do that? But we started looking into it, and we met this crazy guy who was like, yeah, I think we should probably use the car cannon. And we're all like, the car, what? So he had a car cannon, and we found a dead moose, because they have a big moose problem in Norway. Like, they have to shoot them down. So we got one of those that had been killed, because they have to kill like a tremendous amount every year. We got one of those, and we actually shot it with a cannon.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, wow. And then we donated the moose to the Viking village later on. So they made it into a nice moose sausage and a moose pot, and the bones were used to make dices and knives, and the fur was made to, made into clothes.
Okay, you bringing up something I was curious about, that you mentioned sausage. I want to know about these hot dogs.
Well, when we did there's that I'm afraid that gets lost in translation overseas, but we have this. The Norwegian way of talking is very funny to us Danes. Like, they have sounds we don't have, and it just sounds hilarious. And we went there on one of the first research trips, and everybody was just saying pølse, which means sausages, and that was just so funny to us. So I think that's kind of where let's see how many times we can say that word in our film, just because it sounds hilarious.
I see. Well, I was at the end like, well, maybe that hot dog does sound good.
Yeah.
That I was curious to ask you about was the one when you have the couple kind of having this discussion while driving on the road, but your focus, your shot is still on the husband for a while at the beginning of that scene.
I mean, one of the, as we just touched upon, one of the things is men are so bad at talking about their emotions. So we had a main character that he wasn't saying anything about how he feels. And every time we tried to incorporate into the script, like, what is his fucking problem? I'm sorry, but what is his problem? Every time he said it, it was just the whole film fell apart. So what we tried to do was use all the other male characters as like sort of mirrors on how Martin is feeling. So I think, in my mind at least, the whole couple scene is sort of like a flashback, or could at least been Martin's situation like 8 years ago. And in some ways, the old police officer is like also mirroring Martin, I think. And that was, and that's sort of also when we started removing all the female characters from the film, and that's why it's called Wild Men. So they're all kind of telling, all the men are kind of telling the same story about, you get it.
Okay, I see. That makes complete sense. I missed that reason. But that's why I was like, wait, what's going on? Where's that voice coming from? I thought for a moment maybe he was on the phone.
Yeah, I actually heard that. And if you want to go a little further, the whole scene was improvised, because the actor speaking, she is just hilarious. And we only had one camera, and they only had one take on that. So I had to get in the film because it was so funny.
Oh, that's awesome. So what's one of the scenes that you enjoyed shooting the most?
I mean, I actually enjoyed all of it. I think the scene with the smoking, that was fun. Some of the more easier scenes where they had to, like, when we had the screenplay and we shot that first, and then we started like improvising on top of it. But and I mean, for me at least, that was what was most fun shooting, because I got surprised and they said things I'd never heard before, and they, opened the world for me. So that's what I like going to work and you don't exactly know what's going to happen. So those days were, I think, the most fun. And sometimes we couldn't do it. I mean, because it was so cold and the wind was killing us. So sometimes we're shooting in the blizzard and they're doing it, and you, after a take, it's like, cut, and you go over to them, you're like, oh, all right, can you just do it again in your own words? And they're just freezing and they can't think straight. So I mean, some of the easier days when nature was a little sweeter on us.
I was going to ask you about filming out in the wild. How was it, and the obstacles? So it sounds like it was the weather.
Definitely. It's so easy sitting in Denmark in a nice heated office and being like, extra blizzard, top of a mountain, nighttime, and not like thinking, well, I'm going to be shooting that in 5 months. It was dreadful. It was dreadful. The first day I thought, we're never going to make this. We were literally on top of a mountain. We shot the scene where he kills the goat, shoots the goat with the gun. That was the first thing we did, and it was just terrible. I mean, that really surprised all of us.
Wow.
But we somehow we survived.
You definitely survived. You're certified to be wild men out there. So just to wrap up, what's next for you? What's anything you can talk about?
Same producer at Nordisk Film, Lina Flint. She's my old friend and my partner in crime. We are right now developing a heist movie, actually. A heist movie, yeah. Takes place in a trailer park in Denmark. With yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's always good. I mean, keeping us in suspense and working our mind as we watch.
Yeah, I can't tell you anymore right now.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we're
no problem.
Well, everyone else will be watching Wild Men very soon, this Friday.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you
so much
for your time.
Take care.